And Albertans stand with our farmers and our food producers, who are an essential part of our society and our economy and our future. And that is why Albertans were so distressed to observe the invasion of your turkey barns that occurred here on September the 2nd. Now, some people have called this a protest. I don't think it was a protest. You do a protest, you hold a bunch of signs on public property. This was an illegal invasion of private property. This was a dangerous act of trespassing. This was harassment of law-abiding, hard-working Alberta farmers who are following the laws and following the regulations, living an often challenging life to help feed the rest of society. And so we should not dignify this by calling it some kind of an act of legitimate protest. We believe in freedom of speech, and if people want to criticize farming, if they want to criticize poultry or livestock, they have every right to do so. But they have no right to enter the private premises, private property of a farm, to invade it, to harass the farmers, to create a biohazard for the animals, and to violate the several laws in so doing. And these are, some people call these, activists. I call them anti-farming militants, not protesters, but trespassers and bullies. I'm here today to say that the government of Alberta will not tolerate trespassing and bullying of our farmers. We will stand up for and with Alberta farmers in protecting the rule of law. And that is why, you're very welcome. And that is why I am here today to announce that in the forthcoming session of Alberta's legislature, our new government will introduce legislation to protect law-abiding farmers from trespass and harassment from illegal bullies such as those who came to this farm a month ago. We will do so by strengthening the Provincial Petty Trespass Act to specifically address trespass on agricultural land. We will increase penalties for breach of the Petty Trespass Act through the Provincial Offences Procedures Act, and we are looking at fines of up to $10,000 for a first violation, $25,000 for a second violation, and potentially up to 6 months of imprisonment for offences of this nature. We are considering amending provisions in the Animal Health Act and the Agricultural Pest Act to address the cost of biocontamination and biosecurity breaches due to unlawful entry. We will use instruments such as peace bonds, injunctions, and trust funds to hold people accountable and to deter future harassment of this nature. We will collaborate across the justice system to ensure enforcement and prosecution services properly to address agricultural concerns. We will appoint a dedicated Crown prosecutor for agricultural offences to ensure that they are properly pursued. We will ensure that there are legal repercussions for individuals who misrepresent themselves in order to gain access to farms and capture images to discredit operators. More measures that we are studying, Ministers Schweitzer and Dreeshen will be providing details now and in the weeks to come. I understand that the turkey farm operated by the Jumbo Valley Colony is closely inspected by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, has biannual audits from the Alberta Turkey Board, and has a very strong compliance record. There was no reason for this farm to be targeted, but that's not really the point. There's no reason for any farm to face harassment, intimidation, trespass, and this kind of illegal biohazard. And if people in the public have legitimate concerns about animal health and safety or potential violations of food safety and agricultural regulations, we encourage them to go to the appropriate authorities. As Minister Dreeshen will underscore, we in Canada and in Alberta have the world's highest standards for regulation of the food chain, and that includes poultry operations such as this one. So we don't need people acting like vigilantes through trespass, intimidation, and harassment. Instead, what we need to do, and what we are conveying with this commitment to legislative action, is to stand up for and defend our food producers, our agricultural operators, our farmers. Most of us are only a couple of generations, most of the people in the cities are only a couple of generations removed from a family farm. And I ask those folks in our city communities, our urban communities, to remember their grandparents and their great-grandparents who made great sacrifices to operate farms, to feed their families, to produce food for the rest of society. That's what our farmers do all across Alberta every day, just like this Hutterite colony at Jumbo Valley. So we will be making it clear that we will not allow these kinds of intimidation tactics to disrupt our province's farms and to harass farmers. Disrupting the lives of hardworking Albertans, harassing families around their own homes. This is not something that the government of Alberta will tolerate. It is not something that the Alberta public will tolerate. And we'll be encouraging a new, stronger culture of enforcement from those responsible for enforcing the laws to prevent it. Our current system isn't doing enough to protect our producers, their families, or their businesses. And we're going to fix that. Thank you very much. I'll now turn it over to Attorney General Schweitzer.
Very well said, Premier. And over the last month, it has been my privilege to travel this